The YNW Melly trial got wild today. The defense and prosecution still debate over whether or not the phone messages can be used. An interesting text between Melly and his mom 2 days after the murders about buying a come up. Then an undercover gang detective takes the stand in a shiesty mask to hide his identity and explains to the jury the blood set that Melly was involved in. Yeah, a lot happened today, so buckle up, hit subscribe, let's get right into it, boys. Right now the state is trying to get a undercover gang detective to come up and testify with a shiesty mask on. Apparently this guy also testified in the X murder trial with the 3 guys that killed X.
I'd like to see the outfit that he is supposedly going to wear to disguise himself. It's a violation of the Confrontation Clause of the U.S. Constitution.
This particular witness, did you take his deposition?
We did take a step.
And was he wearing a mask then or not?
Yes, sir. He was, but...
So, let me stop. I'm just trying to figure out, is this the same type of mask that he wore then as he's going to wear now?
Yes, sir. Covers his entire face other than his eyes. So the jury cannot see and observe his demeanor.
None of the threats that this witness, that were referred to by the state concerning this witness, have anything to do with this defendant or this case.
So this undercover detective has a $50,000 bounty on his head. He doesn't want to show his face because it's a risk. I would let it pass if I was a judge.
How long have you worked in Broward County Sheriff's Office?
This is 2015.
They're not gonna show us his face. He has a mask on and there's pictures of him all over Twitter. Who cares?
Credible threats on your life?
Yes.
Is there currently a credible threat on your life?
Yes. To protect my family.
Look at this job, bro. You know he's probably only making like $70K a year, risking his life like this.
Being sent around saying, is this Danny Polo? Like, okay, these guys are actually looking for me.
What time did you get to the courthouse today and sit outside?
Just after 9 o'clock.
And were you wearing that mask?
No, sir.
In fact, you've been sitting out there for at least an hour unmasked as people were walking in and out, correct?
Correct.
Why on earth would he do that?
For the last hour, you've been right outside this courtroom where the doors are, correct?
Yes.
Unmasked,
Yes.
as people in this group, including myself, were walking in and out, correct?
Yes, sir.
You weren't concerned about your safety then?
No one knows where I was out there. And I was under the impression I wasn't going to be allowed to wear the mask. So for my safety, but more for the safety of my family. Conversations about placing a bounty on my head, upwards of $50,000.
We maintain our objection that it lacks the foundation to be introduced. We presented the court with cases that for social media or text exchanges to be admitted, one party to that conversation needs to be brought in.
Melly's team's still objecting to any messages or anything over the internet that Melly had with anyone and saying that they need to authenticate the other end of the message and have them come into court, which is not going to happen.
Handle for each one of these texts is Sack Chaser Howard. Sack Chaser being the nickname, as we have indicated before, of one of the decedents.
So you're maintaining, again, that it's not his phone. You know, you said it was hearsay objection. I overruled that because it goes to who's using and controlling the phone, circumstantial evidence of that. That's why I let it in previously. You're saying that you want to demonstrate or document that it's his phone and you're going to show some of these texts or emails, and we'll see where it goes. You make your objection, we'll see where it goes.
Okay.
Melly's team game planning.
Defendant's constitutional right to confrontation and have the jury have an opportunity to discern the credibility of the witness versus the right of the media to have a camera in the courtroom. And we'd like to come up with one proposal.
Counsel, do you have something short and sweet? You know, you make a recommendation. I don't want this to go on for an hour. It's already 10:30.
I understand, sir, but this is extremely important.
Melly's team just asked for a 5-minute recess to write up a report, basically trying to get the guy not to come in and testify.
Your jury instructions advise you to observe the demeanor and facial expressions of witnesses in determining their credibility. And obviously, you will not be able to do so in this case.
So they're saying since the jury can't see his facial expressions and see how he's acting on the stand, that they aren't going to be able to receive his testimony.
Outweighs the defendant's constitutional right to face-to-face confrontation of witnesses against him.
I'm not, wouldn't be giving that instruction to the jury. Let's bring the jury in.
Judge said fuck now. He's not going to tell the jury that.
Training and education do you have in the area of gang and gang organization?
Probably upwards of 500 hours of just specialized training in gangs, organized crime and money laundering. Like I said, it all kind of intersects. Most recently, we infiltrated several blood gang sets. We had several detectives that are blood gang members.
For the past 30 minutes, he's talking about how they've infiltrated, and he just brought up how they are infiltrated blood gang sets.
Hey, you need to learn X, Y, Z. Next time we meet again, you need to learn this oath. You need to know this handshake. You need to know what to wear. You need to know what to say when you meet this guy. You're going to meet the next boss up. We've had those instances where we're meeting our gang members and our undercover might have messed up the handshake and everyone just kind of freezes. So looking at that person like, who is he? Because that's the first thing he should have known.
You just brought up how a detective didn't know a handshake, and it was like a red flag to the gang. They're like, oh, clearly, how do you not know that? So one of the jurors apparently is uncomfortable about the guy wearing a mask, and she spoke up about it.
The first note indicated that was a question. Why does he get to see us and we don't get to see him? So I think that lets us know that it's the mask that's of concern.
I need a moment. I can't listen properly. When I was a child, I've seen someone get robbed, and I am having an anxiety attack.
Oh, that's sad. The juror said, when I was young, I saw someone get robbed with a mask, and I'm having an anxiety attack. That's actually really sad.
And yes, we can clarify that with her. I have no problem doing that. But it can't be gang because we discussed that at length during voir dire, and she cleared that hurdle and was put on the jury.
It's clearly not the talk about gangs that's scaring her. It's the mask. She said in the note that it's causing fucking PTSD pretty much when she was a child.
And it was, why can he see me and we can't see him? Which goes to the heart confrontation clause. Also lets us know that her concern is the mask.
Why can he see me but I can't see him? A juror asked that.
They elected to choose one who has threats against his life that don't concern this case and is undercover. And therefore that they have precipitated this problem. I think Mr. Demons,
They keep changing the way they pronounce his last name. It's so funny. I don't know if it's Demons, or Demons. Even his own lawyers keep messing up and then changing it. But that is a good point that the state picked the one guy that's undercover and has a bounty on his head. I feel like they did that for it to be more exaggerated to the jury. Like, ooh, gangs, this guy's a bounty on his head.
Mr. Melly, I think our client has a right to a jury of his peers, one which was
The judge just smiled when he said Melly.
has been selected and is seated, and his right to both confrontation and to a jury that has been a juror that has been seated supersedes all of the rights of the media, of the state to have an expert who or a witness who could have been and when they could have chosen any of them.
That I'm telling the jury that I'm looking at the media's right to be here over his right to have to confront his accuser, and that's not the way the way it was crafted and worded to me was not the right way to handle it, and I wasn't going to do it.
Okay. I think there's ample evidence that that phone was used by more than one person. The phone comes back to the name Sack Chaser Howard. What that means, I know that my phone doesn't come back with the name Christine Bradley. And I think that is a clear indicator that that phone was being used by others. We know it's being used by several other people. It's not in his name, and it wasn't recovered from him.
The prescriber of that was Jamie King.
Yes, the defendant's
Melly's team is battling not to get these phone messages. I've already given my stance on it. I think it's Melly's phone. Why would his Facebook and Instagram and Twitter be on the phone, but it's not his phone? I think it's his phone, along with the hundreds of selfies on there.
And I'd be happy to put together over lunch a compilation of every single one of the screenshots that the defendant took.
And so the fact that he may have identified that as a phone that he could be contacted at when he did a certain pawn transaction is not dispositive proof that he's the exclusive user of that phone.
We've heard this argument for about a week. I've heard both sides. I think it's Melly's phone. Okay, here's some messages apparently about in the time period of when apparently Sack Chaser and Melly's mom were arguing. That's a motive that people had because of that video I showed you on a previous video. Leave that shit alone, I'm telling you. Yeah, you be starting shit, ma. No, I didn't start anything just because you think it's okay for people to call your mom out. Not post anything about Sack and he jumping what his sister started making posts about me. That's crazy.
Showing that it is not Sack that is on the other end of this line. Or
How is his sister going on social media talking about punching me in the face? My fault. You started it by texting his mama, gone be problems, and not even knowing what you talking about. You a grown-ass lady doing childish shit, and ain't nobody tell you to text her. She could have called me or texted me back, not have you or your daughter all on social media talking about fighting me like I cussed at her. I didn't even say one cuss word when I texted her. I said nothing disrespectful and you know it. You talking, making a live video talking about your mother. It's going to make people hate you. That's why I have never would never do that because I love you. So this phone number says young Sack Chaser Howard. So that's Melly's defense team pointing that out, being like, why is it saying young Sack Chaser? But it's clearly Melly typing, in my opinion.
your actions, I take up for you. I have people telling me your son doesn't care about you. That Jamel Demon's mother is Jamie King. Here she is identifying that she is speaking to her son in that.
This is at 5 in the morning on the day of the murders. Looks like about an hour and 16 minutes after the murder, somewhere around there. Send me your location. I'm in Stewart.
I'm in Stewart. I love you so much. He then asks his mother to buy him a Glock ASAP.
2 days after the murder, he said, buy me a Glock ASAP, like go now. Why he need a Glock so bad suddenly? I know people are gonna be like, he's a rapper, of course he needs a Glock. Yeah, I understand that, but 2 days after his friends got murdered, it could be because, you know, a drive-by happened, or he's scared of retaliation of someone else.
So she then responds, okay, what's wrong? She says, I got your 45. Then his response, I just don't want no illegal gun. Well, that's not illegal. But I'd rather have a Glock 40 or a 19. She says, okay. His response is, I'll pay you when you get down here.
I object to this. Is she going to read the entire phone? This does not go to the heart of our objection. This is being done for the cameras.
This is being done for the cameras.
The contention that someone would allow photos of his penis to be accessed and sent out by friends and other people is absolutely ridiculous.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What was that last sentence? There's dick pics on there, Melly's piece.
That someone would allow photos of his penis to be accessed and sent out by friends and other people is absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, this is the same thing with the X trial. They tried to say Michael Boatwright's phone wasn't his phone, but there was dick pics on there. You're not gonna have dick pics on a group phone, bro.
You know, we're going to proceed and see where it goes. It seems to me that there is extrinsic evidence.
Judge sided with the prosecution.
Whether or not you had ever been declared an expert in any proceeding.
Correct.
And had you?
At that time, I don't believe so.
Okay, so your expertise, or at least there's no court that had acknowledged your expertise up until February 17 of 2022.
That I can recall.
Can you tell us how much of your training was actually gang related?
The majority of the bulk.
Defense is casting doubt on if this guy is even qualified to be a witness or not, or an expert.
Close to 100 hours, maybe more. It's an estimate.
13 or 30?
30.
30.
Yes, sir.
So when you gave us a number of 30 suspects,
That was blood investigations.
okay, that was blood only.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Holy shit, bro is in deep. 30 suspects in the last year that are only bloods.
You would agree that those undercover officers who went that step would probably know more about the intimacies than you would.
I was the case agent on that.
So you're saying that the only reason there are different rules in different parts of the country of a gang is because they're lost in communication, or do different localities have different rules?
Both.
Okay, well, speak to you said you look at the way they dress and the way they stand.
Specific to the right side. So they might stand and cross their arms a certain way with the right arm over the left arm. Or they might wear their hat to the right. They might put a bandana on the right.
Were you able to document 3 or more members
In reference to this case.
in reference to this case?
Oh, I think I stopped at like 17 or 18. Demmons was a member of this gang. Multiple videos of Mr. Demmons claiming G-Shine or GKB. The foot soldiers are told to wear tan or brown. And Mr. Demmons, there's a bunch of pictures of him wearing this tan trench coat. Yes, Mr. Demmons knows all the gang signs, and he does them very well. He can do them very quickly, a lot faster than I can. He'll go maybe a B for blood or a B for blood. Every set has their own specific hand signs that other G-Shine members or blood members, contacts that he had on his phone, and photographs that he had on his phone, social media.
I mean, I kind of thought it was obvious Melly was a part of a gang, but I don't think the murders really had anything to do with the gang itself or anything like that. They say he did it to further the gang. So I feel like if Melly really did this, it was a huge argument out of nowhere and shit hit the fan in the car.
I don't believe this is an act or a character. This is, as I stated, G-Shine is one of the more violent blood sets. They're the ones that are enforcing when other people are false repping, and that's what they're known for. So if a famous person were to false rep G-Shine, they would quickly get checked. That happened to those 2 kids, or I don't know how old they are, those two guys that were claiming sex money murder, the Island Boys, with the fun haircut.
Okay.
Yeah, they were claiming to be members of sex money murder, which is a set of the Bloods, and they quickly got checked by almost every Blood.
Bro just exposed that the Island Boys got checked for fake flagging blood. I wonder how he feels about all the fucking gang shit that was just talked about. So this is an email between someone named Jaquan Burton, the YNW Melly booking email that was on the phone apparently. There is a bunch of documents about the principles and rules and G-soldiers and the meaning of G-Shine.
And who is it addressed to?
YNWMellyBooking@gmail.com.
Why is this blood set sending documents over email? That doesn't seem to be very smart to me.
The information that we're here, and I'm sorry I have to make it a little bit smaller to fit on the page, is this.
Oh, Jesus, dude. It's just a bunch of shit about G-Shine. 30 laws. Blood in, blood out. Jumped in. Voted in by the committee. Put in work. No snitching. No punking out. No homo.
And does this really accurately depict the conversation that is on that cell phone?
Yes.
At this time, the state request from states BBB in and published to the jury.
Same objection.
Objection's overruled.
Melly's team objected to all those conversations, but it was overruled.
And what does HERC mean?
Herc is a term used by members of G-Shine to refer to each other. It's like calling each other bro or dude, same thing.
And on the December 1st, 2018, this particular message, is there another term that would indicate G-Shine affiliation?
The rank designation was Scary.
Rise up, bro. We need to sit down as soon as possible and formulate a game plan for the production of our community beloved.
You have many other hoods that have productive aspects in motion, and it's time for us to put a form of some businesses into existence so we can grow as a family. We're already established financially, so we want to combine with you in the form of growth and development and endure prosperous ventures as a collective.
You point him out in this particular photograph.
Subject blank shoes jumping.
In the center of the frame?
Yes.
But you don't, may the record reflect that the state pointed to it and he identified the person to whom the state pointed.
Oh my god, she asked him to identify him and then pointed right at him.
The subject saved as Gino is explaining what the code means so that the recipient doesn't mess up when the Godfather questions him.
Man got blood instructions sent to him. Want you to groom him. Show them the meaning of chain of command. Safety and security. Show dude something different.
I think they should have allowed the jury to just know that he was in a gang, period. I think the fact that they're now trying to explain this some more hurts them, because the average juror, which is why we have an expert, right? The average juror doesn't know this about gangs. They just think that gangs are violent. They don't know that there are laws. They don't know that they're instructing you to love each other and to read and to go to school and not to be homosexual and to make sure your hygiene is good. They don't know this about gangs. And so now you're introducing them to an element and an aspect that they aren't familiar with that undermines your case.
I don't think this is a slam dunk by any means. I think the defense definitely has some inroads in there, and there's some reasonable doubt for sure. So I think it's not a slam dunk. I think they still have a chance.
All right, that's a wrap on day 7. A lot of gang evidence that could low-key hurt the prosecutor in the long run, because it's a lot of talk about loving your brother, but then Melly killed his brothers. I don't think these murders were related to a gang whatsoever. But yeah, still very compelling. Very interesting to see all the messages that Melly had with these guys. Island Boys got exposed. Messages with Melly and his mom too, so it was interesting. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. I'll keep covering this.